गिरिवरधारी जय गिरिवरधारी जय गोपीजन वल्लभ जय गिरिवरधारी जय गिरिवरधारी जय यशोदा नंदन जय ब्रजजन रंजन जय यशोदा नंदन जय ब्रजजन रंजन जय यमुना तिरवनाचारी जय कुंज विहारी जय यमुना तिरवनाचारी जय कुंज बिहारी जय राधा माधव जय कुंज बिहारी जय राधा माधव जय कुंज बिहारी जय गोपीजना वल्लभ जय गिरिवरधारी जय गिरिवरधारी जय यशोदा नंदन जय ब्रजजन रंजन जय यशोदा नंदन जय ब्रजजन रंजन जय यमुना तिरवनचारी जय कुंज बिहारी जय राधा माधव जय कुंज बिहारी जय राधा माधव जय कुंज बिहारी हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे जय प्रभुपाद जय प्रभुपाद जय प्रभुपाद जय प्रभुपाद जय प्रभुपाद जय प्रभुपाद प्रभुपाद जय प्रभुपाद जय ओम विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्रजकाचार्य अष्टोत्तर शत श्री वांगे अभय चरणारविंद भक्त वेदांत स्वामी श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय जय ओम विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्रजकाचार्य अष्टोत्तर शत श्री वांगे भक्ति सिद्धांत सरस्वती गोस्वामी ठाकुर महाराज की जय अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय इस्कॉन फाउंडराचार्य श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय नामाचार्य श्री हरिदास ठाकुर की जय प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद की जय जय श्री राधा कृष्ण गोप गोपनाथ श्याम कुंड राधा कुंगी गोवर्धन की जय इस्कॉन फिलाडेल्फिया की जय जय श्री राधा शरद बिहारी की जय जय श्री जगन्नाथ बलदेव सुभद्रा महारानी की जय परम करुणा श्री गौर निताय की जय समवेत गौर भक्त वृंद की जय हरे कृष्ण वेलकम एवरीवन this morning Srimad Bhagavatam reading. We'll be reading from Canto 1, which is the creation, chapter 15, Pandavas retiring home. Yes, right. Pandavas retired. The Pandavas retired timely, and text 27. Om Namah Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namah Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namah Bhagavate Vasudevaya. This today's verse is very nice. Of course, all the verses is nice. Especially today's verse describes about the Bhagavad Gita. So here text 27. Desa kalartha yuktani rutapopa samani cha haranti smarata chittam govinda vitani me. Desa kalartha yuktani Rita samani cha haranti smarataschitam govinda bhitani me. Desa kalartha yuktani rita samani cha haranti smarataschitam Govinda Bhitani me. Please recite.
Desha-kalartha-yuktani hrittapo-pashamani cha haranti smarataschittang govinda bhitani me.
Hare Krishna. Desa kalata yuktana rittapupasa manicha aranti smarataschitam govinda itani me.
देशकालार्थयुक्तानि रिक्तापोपशमानि च हरन्ति स्मरतश्चित्तं गोविन्द विहितानि मे.
Hare Krishna. Deshakalarthayuktani hita apo pashamani cha haranti samrata stittam govinda abhihitani me.
देशकालार्थयुक्तानि हृत्ततपो समानि च हरन्ति स्मरतश्चित्तं गोविन्द विहितानि मे.
Hare Krishna. Desha kalartha yuktani rito taposhamani cha haranti smaratas chittam govinda bihitani me. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you. Anyone else? Okay. So we will go for synonyms. Desa, space. Kala, time. Artha, importance. Yuktani, impregnated with. Hrit, the heart. Tapa, burning. Upasamani, extinguishing. Cha, and. Haranti, are attracting. Smarataha, by remembering. Chittam, mind. Govinda, the supreme personality of pleasure. Avihitani, narrated by me, unto me. Translation. Now I am attracted to those instructions imparted to me by the personality of Godhead, Govinda, because they are impregnated with instructions for relieving the burning heart in all circumstances of time and space. Purport. So this is a very elaborate purport, and I'm glad we'll get some time to reflect and summarize. And also at the end, I'll also request devotees to share, because from Bhagavad Gita basically, because this is primarily focusing on the Lord's instruction in the form of Bhagavad Gita. So here's the purport. Herein, Arjuna refers to the instruction of the Bhagavad Gita, which was imparted to him by the Lord on the battlefield of Kurukshetra. The Lord left behind him the instructions of the Bhagavad Gita, not for the benefit of Arjuna alone, but also for all time and in all lands. The Bhagavad Gita, being spoken by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is the essence of all Vedic wisdom. It is nicely presented by the Lord himself for all who have very little time to go through the vast Vedic literatures like the Upanishads, Puranas, and Vedanta Sutras. It is put within the study of the great historical epic Mahabharata, which was especially prepared for the less intelligent class, namely the human, the laborers, and those who are worthless descendants of the Brahmanas, Kshatriyas, and higher sections of the Vaishyas. The problem which arose in the heart of Arjuna on the battlefield of Kurukshetra was solved by the teachings of the Bhagavad Gita. Again, after the departure of the Lord from the vision of earthly people, when Arjuna was face to face with being vanquished in his acquired power and prominence, he wanted again to remember the great teachings of the Bhagavad Gita, just to teach all concerned that the Bhagavad Gita can be consulted in all critical times, not only for solace from all kinds of mental agonies, but also for the way out of great entanglements which may embarrass one in some critical hour. The merciful Lord left behind him the great teachings of the Bhagavad Gita, so that one can take the instructions of the Lord even when he is not visible to material eyesight. Material senses cannot have an estimation of the Supreme Lord, but by his inconceivable power, the Lord can incarnate himself to the sense perception of the conditioned souls in a suitable manner through the agency of matter, which is also another form of the Lord's manifested energy. Thus, the Bhagavad Gita, or any authentic scriptural sound representation of the Lord, is also the incarnation of the Lord. There is no difference between the sound representation of the Lord and the Lord himself. One can derive the same benefit from the Bhagavad Gita as Arjuna did in the personal presence of the Lord. The faithful human being who is desirous of being liberated from the clutches of material existence can very easily take advantage of the Bhagavad Gita. And with this in view, the Lord instructed Arjuna as if Arjuna were in need of it. In the Bhagavad Gita, 5 important factors of knowledge have been delineated pertaining to 1. The Supreme Lord, 2. The living being, 3. Nature, 4. Time and space, and 5. The process of activity. Out of these, the Supreme Lord and the living being are qualitatively one. The difference between the two has been analyzed as the difference between the whole and the part and the parcel. Nature is inert matter, displaying the interaction of the 3 different modes. And eternal time and unlimited space are considered to be beyond the existence of the material nature. Activities of the living being are different varieties of aptitudes which can entrap or liberate the living being within and without material nature. All these subject matters are concisely discussed in the Bhagavad Gita. And later, the subject matters are elaborated in the Srimad Bhagavatam for further enlightenment. Out of the five subjects, the Supreme Lord, the living entity, nature, and time and space are eternal. But the living entity, nature, and the time are under the direction of the Supreme Lord, who is absolute and completely independent of any other control. The Supreme Lord is the Supreme Controller. The material activity of the living being is beginningless, but it can be rectified by transferal into the spiritual quality. Thus, it can cease its material quality to reactions. Both the Lord and the living entity are cognizant, and both have the sense of identification, of being conscious as a living force. But the living being, under the condition of the material nature called Mahat Tattva, misidentifies himself as being different from the Lord. The whole scheme of Vedic wisdom is targeted to the aim of eradicating such a misconception and thus liberating the living being from the illusion of material identification. When such an illusion is eradicated by knowledge and renunciation, the living beings are responsible actors and enjoyers also. The sense of enjoyment in the Lord is real, but such a sense in the living being is a sort of wishful desire only. This difference in consciousness is the distinction of the two identities, namely the Lord and the living being. Otherwise, there is no difference between the Lord and the living being. The living being is therefore eternally one and different simultaneously. The whole instruction of Bhagavad Gita stands on this principle. In the Bhagavad Gita, the Lord and the living beings are both described as Sanatana or eternal. And the Lord's abode far beyond the material sky is also described as Sanatana. The living being is invited to live in the Sanatana existence of the Lord, and the process which can help a living being to approach the Lord's abode, where the liberated activities of the soul is executed, is called Sanatana Dharma. One cannot, however, reach the eternal abode of the Lord without being free from the misconceptions of material identification. And the Bhagavad Gita gives us the clue how to achieve this stage of perfection. The process of being liberated from the misconception of material identification is called, in different stages, fruitive activity, empiric philosophy, and devotional service, up to transcendental realization. Such transcendental realization is made possible by dovetailing all the above items in relation with the Lord. Prescribed duties of human being, as directed in the Vedas, can gradually purify the sinful mind of the conditioned soul and raise him to the stage of knowledge. The purified stage of acquiring knowledge becomes the basis of devotional service to the Lord. As long as one is engaged in researching the solution of the problems of life, his knowledge is called jnana, or purified knowledge. But on realizing the actual solution of life, one becomes situated in the devotional service of the Lord. The Bhagavad Gita begins with the problems of life by discriminating the soul from the elements of matter and proves by all reason and argument that the soul is indestructible in all circumstances and that the outer covering of matter, the body and the mind, change for another term of material existence, which is full of miseries. The Bhagavad Gita is therefore meant for terminating all different types of miseries. And Arjuna took shelter of this great knowledge which had been imparted to him during the Kurukshetra battle. Om Ajnanatimrandha Jnananjana Salakaya Chaksharan Militam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha Namam Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namne Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pacharane Nirvisesa Sunyavadi Paschat Destarane. Hare Krishna. So nice to have all of you. Welcome back, Vishnugata Prabhu. We've been missing your comments. I found it's very enlivening. Prabhupada and the Acharyas has put in this purport everything about Bhagavad Gita. We can just use these contents to share with others as well, to study as a summary what is the Bhagavad Gita. Now, this chapter is entitled The Pandavas Return Home Timely. And we can see Arjuna's condition, pathetic condition. All the Pandavas, everyone who heard the Lord has departed. And Arjuna is sharing his own realization now. He's solacing himself in one sense, I can say here. He's saying now that what he's doing. Now I'm attracted to those instructions imparted to me by the personality of Godhead, because they're impregnated with instructions for relieving the burning heart in all circumstances of time and space. This is Bhagavad Gita. It is said that, just having the Bhagavad Gita, one gets purified and one has the opportunity to open it, to read, to learn, to dive into it. Krishna is not different from his instructions, Bapu and Vani. Arjuna relished the association of Lord Krishna in a personal, face-to-face in all circumstances. He was always free from all these anxieties because he knew that Krishna was taking care of him. He will take care of him. Thus, the Pandavas, even though experiencing all these difficult times, but they were feeling relieved because there's somebody who is taking care of them, which is Krishna. Just like a child, a small child can play in the midst of danger, knowing well that his father and mother is there, always protecting. And when the danger comes, the child comes and takes care of shelter of the mother. So here, Arjuna is experiencing that difficulties and situation, and he is taking the shelter of the Lord's Vani instructions, and he's saying, because they're impregnated with instructions for relieving the burning heart in all circumstances of time and place. So this is what we call knowledge, which everyone can have Bhagavad Gita. All over the world, we had this Gita marathon, and particularly by reading this, I'm feeling very inspired also. So we'll go through a few points here what Prabhupada writes in the summary, in the purport. Many points are there. Actually, whole purport is very instructive. So first, Prabhupada says this Bhagavad Gita, being spoken by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is the essence of all Vedic wisdom. It's the essence of all Vedic wisdom, because it is so nicely presented that people have people can just go through Bhagavad Gita and understand the essence of the Vedas. One doesn't have to study all these Vedas and so many Upanishads, Vedanta Sutras. One doesn't have time, not the ability, not the availability, nor the teacher. But simply having this Bhagavad Gita, one can really understand these few verses, approximately 700. One can really understand the essence of it, gist of it. What is Bhagavad? What the scriptures are directing for? What the scriptures are meant for? And so Vyasdev has put this teaching in the study of epic Mahabharata, which is especially prepared for people who are less intelligent. One has to accept, we have to accept that we are less intelligent, especially in this age of Kali. Kalo Sudra Sambhava. Many times when we get disturbed, I fall in that category. Actually, everyone, Kalo Sudra Sambhava, everyone is lower. So Mahabharata was compiled to finally help the living entity from all different stages. They can understand the essence of the Vedas, because Bhagavad Gita, they will read it. Mahabharata was especially prepared for the less intelligent class, namely the women, the laborers, and those who are worthless descendants of Brahmanas, Kshatriyas, and higher sections of the Vaisyas. Well, actually, it is said for everybody. Man and woman, everybody is there. And everyone can be eligible, presented in such a that can understand the essence of the whole Vedas. Now, another point is written: the problem which arose in the heart of Arjuna on the battlefield of Kurukshetra was solved by the teachings of Bhagavad Gita. The problem which arose in the heart of Arjuna is not an ordinary situation, because we just read, we don't have a practical experience. It is a very, very, very difficult situation for Arjuna. Sankat, more emotionally also, morally, emotionally, he was almost completely broke down. It's like a very expert doctor. When he knows the disease well, expert doctor knows the disease well, he or she can bring the patient very again to a healthy condition in very short span of time. But one has to know. The person who do not know, the doctors who do not know, they will take so long, and they make exaggerate or make their condition worse. But Arjuna was in such a completely in a situation that he was totally broken. You, me, we can break down, and it's normal. And Kshatriya, such as like Arjuna, completely breaking down, is a very unique situation. And just as Harinam is an example that can deliver Jagai Madhai, persons like Jagai Madhaji also, by delivering Jagai Madhai, the holy name or Lord Chaitanya's mercy is glorified. So similarly, delivering Arjuna from this pitiable condition, persons like Arjuna, who is, these people, they don't break down very easily. They are Kshatriyas. But Bhagavad Gita could give him solace and free him from all these difficult times, and put him in more energy, rejuvenated himself so he can act. This is one of the things. Arjuna is also referring to the same situation, to get same energy, same fresh, rejuvenate himself in this time by associating with Bhagavad Gita. And he also Prabhupada writes that Bhagavad Gita can be consulted in all critical times. I hear that many devotees, they give comment, they share their realizations, I was going through this and I opened and I found my answer. I felt so solaced. So Bhagavad Gita can be consulted in all critical times, not only for solace from all kinds of mental agonies, but also for the way out of great entanglements which may embrace one in some critical hours. Anyone can give an example of this here in this proper rites I can share that can be consulted in all critical times. For the way out of great entanglements which may embrace one in some critical hours, either personal example or someone where you had experienced this. Is my question clear? I can share this again here. Yeah, I think yes, sorry. Yeah, this one. Bhagavad Gita can be consulted in all critical times, not only for solace from all kinds of mental agonies, but also for the way out of great entanglements, which may embrace one in some critical hours. What can we understand from this? Any thoughts?
Yeah, Prabhu. One thing that the Bhagavad Gita helped me is that sometimes when I feel a little bit down, I always remember that verse Matas Pasatu Kontiya Situsna Sukha Dukkada Kabat Gavayino Nityatam Titisa Bharata. I know this happiness and distress are temporary, just like summer and winter. I wanted to learn to tolerate it. So this verse, always help me, deal with my whatever sadness or whatever, difficulty is coming in my life.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. Going through difficulties, I think everyone goes, right? Generally, we don't tell about our difficulties. We show in Facebook only what is going good to us most of the time. No one shares the reality of this life. And thank you. I think you kind of shared for solace from all kinds of mental agonies. Thank you. Any other comments here for now? Way out of great entanglements which may embarrass one in some critical hours. Anyone wants to share more? Okay, no problem. I just wanted to make it a little interactive. Well, from this, at least we can accept that it is going to help us in all circumstances. When we're not finding solutions to it also, which may embarrass one in some critical hours. That time also Bhagavad Gita helps. Basically, Bhagavad Gita can be a savior in this world of uncertainties, constant uncertainties. Anything, anytime can happen. Now, and the next point here says that the merciful Lord left behind him the great teachings of the Bhagavad Gita, so that one can take the instructions of the Lord even when he's not visible to material eyesight. So there is no difference between the Lord, personally speaking, being with us, and Bhagavad Gita. This is what is given here. Even though it says the material senses cannot have estimation of the Lord, we cannot see, but the Lord's inconceivable power is like that. He can incarnate himself to the sense perception of the conditioned souls in a suitable manner through the agency of matter. The Lord will manifest according to time, place, circumstances. We will be fortunate enough to realize how the Lord's hand is there to help us in that situation. Sometimes many devotees shared, I was going through this problem and I opened the Bhagavad Gita and I immediately found my solution to it. Amazing how that can happen. But that's the inconceivable potency of the Lord. The Bhagavad Gita or any authentic scriptural sound representation of the Lord is also the incarnation of the Lord. So Sabda Brahman. Bhagavad Gita is called Sabda Brahman, or Vedic literature is also Sabda Brahman. There's no difference between the sound representation of the Lord and Lord himself. One can derive the same benefit from the Bhagavad Gita as Arjuna did in the personal presence of the Lord. This is conviction which Prabhupada gives to us. We can take it from here. Now, another point is written here. The faithful human being who is desirous of being liberated from the clutches of the material existence can very easily take advantage of the Bhagavad Gita. I want to put another point here for all of your reflection or sharing. The faithful human being who is desirous of being liberated from the clutches of material existence. So what it would be meaning of it? Desirous, who is desirous to be freed of being liberated from the clutches of material existence. It can be thought in, I understand this is, it can be thought in many different ways. No, we all want a solution to our problems. We all want solution to our problems. But is that from the clutches of material existence. So basically, the one who is seeking the permanent solution for all these problems. When I was, before I came to Krishna consciousness, I was thinking, oh my God, this is what world is all about, always fighting and misunderstanding and riots and what you call, people killing each other, animals are slaughtered. Very, very selfish. There's no place where you can take shelter. Actually, you'd like to be there. There's no place left, at least for me, when I understood. I was looking for what is the hope for me? What is the hope for these people who don't have interest in this thing happening in this world? In example, we can talk about Philadelphia, Delaware, right? We don't have to talk about the whole world. And there's so many places for enjoyment. There's so many places of recreation. Everything is there. But what if people don't want that? That's not the place and people have a taste for it. So Prabhupada made this facility for people like us to come and take shelter and feel relieved and relish also. The faithful human being who is desirous of being liberated from the clutches of material existence can very easily take advantage of Bhagavad Gita. And Prabhupada writes the 5 things, subject matters, which has been described in Bhagavad Gita: the Supreme Lord, the living being, the nature, time and space, and the process of activity. These all we know. However, the 4 are eternal: the Lord, the living being, the nature, the time and space. However, they all work under the Supreme Lord. Even though they're eternal, they're not independent. One important point to focus on this is the process of activity, which is karma. Here it says that activities of living being are different varieties of aptitudes which can entrap or liberate the living being within and without material nature. So our activities can entrap or liberate both, put us in a condition ourselves, put us into bondage or liberate. So that's why Bhagavad Gita is, all these subject matters are concisely discussed in both Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam. How we can dovetail our activities in such a way that those activities will liberate us from all these anxieties. So, and we will go through one more point here. And Sanatana Dharma, Sanatana Dharma is explained, the Lord, the living entity are Sanatana. The both living entity and the Lord are Sanatana, they are eternal. The Lord's abode is eternal, and the process which is practiced to approach the Sanatana world, eternal world, is called Sanatana Dharma. Especially the Sanatana Dharma is very misleading in the eastern part, the current Hindu society, but it's a very clear definition was given. Ramanujacharya also mentioned very nicely about Sanatana Dharma. So this is very clear. What is Sanatana and what is the Sanatana Dharma? Very clearly Prabhupada writes in his purport. And in the finally, I want to share a couple of things here. The Bhagavad Gita begins with the problems of life by discriminating the soul from the elements of matter, and proves by all reason and argument that the soul is indestructible in all circumstances. That's the beginning. Lord Krishna does not give all this knowledge. Sarvadharman paritaja mamekam saranam vraja. So that way Bhagavad Gita will be only one sloka. But Krishna helps him gradually come, elevate himself. So he's giving this knowledge, discriminating between the matter and spirit. Basically, you can say Sankhya philosophy. Then what he does, then he gives the karma and jnana, and finally bhakti, devotional service. That's the essence of Bhagavad Gita, and that's the essence of all the Vedic literatures. And we can, because the beginning itself, it was mentioned, Bhagavad Gita is the essence of all the Vedic literatures. So Krishna is very kind. So the Bhagavad Gita is therefore meant for terminating all different types of miseries. And Arjuna took shelter of this great knowledge which had been imparted to him during the Kurukshetra battle. So I'm very grateful for the devotees who are engaged in studying and practicing and also sharing this message of Bhagavad Gita. One day it is going to help. So I'll open for, I have a few more points. Basically, I just wanted to open for some discussions. Before I open, maybe some, anyone would like to share some comments, corrections? Okay, my question would be, how it is inspiring you, and how you've been, taking advantage of it, of this Bhagavad Gita, and how you feel it is definitely going to help others. Anyone would like to share something? Few, not full class, few minutes you can share. Personal realization. Is Arjuna's realization is correct? Do we have such kind of experience in similar or conviction? Let's see who is going to speak. Vishnu Prabhu, you want to share something or corrections for me?
I have no corrections. One thing I would say is that in the material world, knowledge is so changeable, or so-called knowledge is changeable, and there is no certainty. One thing that you might put your faith in today will change. One person that you put your faith in today will change. And the one of the wonderful qualities of the Bhagavad Gita is it gives definitive, reliable, not changing knowledge. So many scriptures have vague conceptions of what the soul is and who God is. It's not clear, but the Bhagavad Gita is so valuable because it gives definitive, clear, detailed knowledge about all those things, those 5 aspects of experience. So therefore, it's reliable, whereas other information is not reliable. It's temporary, and one can't put one's faith in it. So that aspect of Bhagavad Gita is such a boon for me and for society and for everybody. Detailed, reliable, clear knowledge about who we are, who is God, etc. And Prabhupada in the purport, this purport is almost like a summary of the introduction to Bhagavad Gita, because in the introduction, Srila Prabhupada mentions the 5 aspects, 5 things that parts of knowledge that the Bhagavad Gita covers. And so here he also does so in terms of relating it to Arjuna's condition, of how it addresses his condition. One question I might ask is, it says, Srila Prabhupada mentions that the people's involvement in material activities is beginningless. Did you see that?
Yeah, here. This one, the second. About the karma, right? This is the one, yeah. This one. Activities of the living being are different varieties. No.
Yeah, there's one place where he said those material activities are beginningless. I think it's below that, perhaps. I don't know.
Okay.
So I thought somebody might comment on that, because sometimes it's said that the living entity, there it is, the material activity of the living being is beginningless. See the middle there? Yeah. But it can be rectified by transference into the spiritual quality. So sometimes it's said that the living entity or the souls fell from Vaikuntha, or the spiritual world. But here it says the material activity of the living being is beginningless. So how do you rectify or understand those 2 ideas? You understand the question?
Yes. I understand beginningless means is because every moment living entities engage in, others can share also. So our activities constantly, everything we we do is considered an activity under the circumstances, time and nature. It's a vast. Many times people think, we generally think about cause and effect. Oh, I did this, I got this because of this. In a limited time and space, we try to justify ourselves as cause and effect. But how much time we can really calculate our material activity we have been doing since time immemorial. I think that's why Dhritarashtra was also asked question, if I understand correctly, that how it happened that all my 100 sons were killed. Generally, we just live in the purview of this life and this, but it's beginningless in the sense, since time immemorial, we have, since that day we have come here, we have been entangled and we are carrying different reactions to these activities. Thus, beginningless may not be an eternal here, but that's thing. Anyone else wants to say something on comment on this? I think, yeah, that's what I believe. No one wants to share on this subject, looks like. Thank you.
Hare Krishna. That is how I was also thinking. It's we are so limited in our understanding of time that for us, and we hear the word immemorial all the time, but for us to actually understand, contemplate what that means, and that the time frame for us is so limited, it is it's difficult for us to grasp that idea. But that's how I am also, at least for now, understanding it like that.
Thank you. Ranath raised the hand. Yes.
I mean, this question has been a debate with me, Harinam Prabhu, and many devotees have had this two chain of thoughts. But this Rishikesh Prabhu had many years back in the beginning told me that whether we are here since time immemorial or we fell down, what is more important now is how we get out. You know, that these two chain of thoughts are there. That some devotees say we fell down, some devotees say we have been here since time immemorial. But I'm not saying which is right, but the answer I was given is when you fall into the well, we figure out how to get out of it, not whether we fell, how we fell. I don't know if it helps, but just I'm sharing what I heard way back.
Yes, very nice. Yeah, I think definitely helps. But
I don't know where exactly, but I think that's how Prabhupada had answered that question also. Is it does matter why nothing is unimportant here, but what matters more is that we try to get out of here and we understand how to get out of here.
yeah, but those people who are looking for knowledge, the scrutinizingly study, they also want to know how I got into first place first. Just many times, how did I, inquisitors, they will ask questions. Oh, how did I come here then? But yeah, point is right. Now focus has to be, Bhagavad Gita does not make them bereft of that knowledge. It gives that knowledge also. Saying that you don't worry, it gives, okay, if you're interested, this is the way you came. This is the whole process you've been brought into this society. Yeah, thank you for sharing on that. Yes, Sonia Mataji, please. Yes. Can you please come closer to your microphone?
Can you hear me, Prabhuji?
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. In one of the class, I have said word anadi, and I also heard that jivas are of two types, nitya baddha and nitya mukta. So we are kind of nitya baddha. So and we are from the here is like from the eternal time.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Right.
In that class discussion also, they said that the two type of thoughts that jivas is fall down from Vaikuntha, or jiva is in this world from eternal time, but the solution is to get out of this.
So if I heard correctly, you mentioned about Nitya Baddhas, Nitya Siddhas. Yeah, Nitya Baddhas. We are called Nitya Baddhas because we have been conditioned since time immemorial here. That's why it's called Nitya Baddha. Actually, again, that can be also a contradicting statement, because we are called Nitya Baddhas in this world because we came for that purpose and living like that. But eternally, we are part and parcel and servant of the Lord. Temporarily, we have come here. It's all relative. While living in this material world, we can say we have been since time immemorial, beginningless, we have been living like this. Yes, Prabhu, Krishna Kirtan says.
Yeah, so Srila Prabhupada, just like any Sanskrit word or any word in any language, according to the circumstance and the context and the usage, there are varieties of meanings. Just like Atma, the word Atma can mean body, can mean mind, can mean soul. So similarly, Nitya, although the general meaning of Nitya is no beginning and no end, it does have different connotations in different circumstances. For example, Nitya Baddha, which it says eternally conditioned, Srila Prabhupada said the meaning of Nitya Baddha is not eternal forever, but it's so long, so far in the past that it cannot be traced out how long you've been here. So that doesn't mean that we didn't fall from Vaikuntha. So those questions are, as you mentioned, they're secondary, but also so important. We know in the Bhagavad Gita that question is addressed in the verse Icha Dvesha Samutena Dvandva Mohena Bharata, that out of Icha means desire and Dvesh means envy. Every of those dualities were born into this material world, Krishna says. And then if you want to take it that there's some people that were created into the Brahma Jyoti or created in the material world in the first place, well then why? Why would Krishna create somebody in the material world or in the Brahma Jyoti in the first place? That's a big question. So I was just pointing on that. The beginningless here generally means, if you equate it with the Nitya Baddha, that the soul has been here such a long time and been engaged in material activity such a long time, you can't trace it out. But doesn't mean it's that in that sense. Nitya means forever and ever and ever.
Yes.
Follow.
Thank you, Prabhu. And recently, I was telling to devotees that my realization is that, many times we feel like, okay, we don't like the life when things are getting over, when I'm going out from this anxieties. But if you look into the life, maybe we have been here in the same place last life also. Maybe we'll be here next life also. We don't know, just changing the body. Living entities only consist of this span of life within this body. It's an amazing world. It's amazing Maya, how the Lord has made. So we have a few more minutes. I just want to say that this verse is very inspiring, very educational. We can share this, the purport to the devotees, also friends who can learn, a gist of Bhagavad Gita. Pranath, you want to say something? Yeah.
No problem. So how, how do we understand this statement, beginningless, in today's verse, this purport, the context? Are we saying it is untraceable? Is that what I hear, Vishnu?
Yeah, that's right. Untraceable, because sometimes for a long time, when you say for so long, there's no point to trace it. But good that we are given the reason how we came out and why we came out. And it's hard for us, as a self, when I came to this world, material world. That's for Lord, it is not. For Lord, it is possible.
Hare Krishna. What I'm thinking differently about this beginningless. The material activity is beginningless because it is material and it has no value. If we do it in a spiritual way, because the next sentence is about spirituality, then it has value and it begins our consciousness. That's what I'm thinking.
Nice.
No value.
Your thinking is right, yeah. But the whole question was coming, how long we have been engaging our activities into the useless way, materialistic way. That's also the question was being discussed at this time.
Yeah.
So what I understood Vishnu Prabhu was saying, we have to understand the proper context. The beginningless means, yeah, there's no trace of, it's hard to figure out, and that may not be needed to understand, but we can understand that at least. Wow, Some of the, I'll end it after this, some of the incidents from Srimad Bhagavatam is scary for me. When I see, we want to see that how soon we get out of this world and go to the Lord's abode. But when you see Dhritarashtra's pastime, see how Chitraketu had gone through so many lives, so many challenges, constant in one after another for different age and time. How so many personalities who appeared during Lord Ramchandra's pastime, they appeared in Krishna's pastime, they appeared in Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's pastime. So basically, we get stuck here for a long, long time. And we have been stuck here. That part is scary. We take it casually. Okay, we will be out. But you raise the hand.
Prabhuji, yes, then this begs another question. If we have fallen down and if we go back, is there a chance we fall down again? And the Bhagavad Gita says you won't fall, once you go back, there's no return.
Krishna says he will bless you. That's great. He will take care of us.
So then in the first point, so we fell down.
Yeah.
So there's no second time falling down.
No second time falling down. Yes. First time we given the chance, we experienced, and now we are saying, Krishna, I did big mistake. I'm not going to come back. Some question was asked, how will we remember? So Prabhupada, I think, mentioned that you'll vaguely remember that as a dream, that you may, or the experiences of this material world, like it's not dangerous. But yeah, we will not come back again. Krishna will make assurance. Okay. Thank you so much for everyone, all of your kind contribution. Is very.
I want to share something.
Yeah.
So right now my son is visiting Paris. So he went to different places, and I always tell him, always remember Krishna, never forget Krishna. Then he sent us a lot of pictures, and then he said he had to wait 2 hours to go some place. So my daughter said, oh, 2 hours, you should have gone to Mandir instead. So then my son said, I saw someone riding a bike with a basket that said, Hare Krishna delivers. So I said that Krishna wanted you to remind Krishna. That's why that he saw someone carrying that.
Nice. He's a Sunday school graduate. He will come soon. Thank you as a mother for reminding him, for bringing him back. Very nice. Hare Krishna. So wish you all very happy, auspicious New Year. This as a goal. I will remind myself to take shelter of Bhagavad Gita in difficult times. I go through also many times. So this is really hope. And that also inspires me to share this message to everybody. Hare Krishna. Vancha kalpatarvyascha kripa sindhuvevacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namo. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.